I will never forget officially being done chemo. It had been months of anxiety, pain, and exhaustion, but I had finally reached the finish line. But the celebrations did not last long. A thought quickly crept into my mind. How do I stay cancer-free? I started on this quest to lower my cancer risk. I needed to do everything in my power to stay cancer-free for my family. So in this video, I'm showing you the top products that I personally avoid and exactly what I tell my patients to avoid. Toss these things out ASAP. Starting with number 1. Juice. This may come as a surprise to you, but juice would be the first thing that I toss out. Here's why. It is so much healthier for you to eat whole fruits and vegetables. Juice is incredibly high in sugar. Even juice that's labeled 100% natural juice. They still have large amounts of sugar, and consuming excess sugar can lead to a ton of health problems, not just in people with cancer, but in everyone. Weight gain, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Now, if you look at women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, the leading cause of death is not actually breast cancer, it's heart disease, narrowly beating out breast cancer in breast cancer survivors. So we need to not only protect you from a cancer recurrence, but also protect your overall health. Juice has also had all the fiber removed from it or significantly reduced. Fiber is known to reduce the risk of cancer or cancer recurrence. Cancer survivors need more fiber, and our diets, they just don't have enough. So to consume juice, which has actively had the fiber removed from these fruits and vegetables, well, that would not be a good choice for cancer survivors. Fiber also helps you regulate your blood sugar, it supports digestion, and it helps you feel fuller for longer. Without fiber, juice can lead to spikes in your blood sugar and cause you to actually feel more hungry. But eating the entire fruit or the entire vegetable, well, this is gonna lower your cancer risk. Juice also results in nutritional imbalances. Yes, it contains the vitamins and minerals that you would find in whole foods, but it's missing a lot of the antioxidants. And lastly, juice is easy to overconsume. You can eat more calories in a shorter period of time if they're in liquid form. The result is that you're consuming a lot of calories, but because the fiber is missing, you don't feel full. This can lead to an overconsumption of calories over time and weight gain. This is a big issue for cancer survivors. Here's why. We know that cancer survivors who are at an unhealthy body weight, well, they actually increase their risk of cancer or cancer recurrence. It's not fully understood why this happens, but it's thought to be linked to insulin resistance and inflammation in your body. Despite popular belief, around 60% of women who go through cancer and cancer treatment, well, they actually end up gaining weight. Stress eating, steroids, hormonal imbalances, from drugs, or from a hysterectomy. All of this often leads to significant weight gain. So to add in empty calories from juice, well, this is not a good fit. So toss it out. The next thing to toss out is something that you might not have heard about as being a problem. Lavender. Lavender contains compounds known as phytoestrogens. Now, phytoestrogens are plant compounds that mimic the activity of estrogen. And in hormone-positive cancers, like an estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer, well, the presence of estrogen or estrogen activity can actually increase the risk of cancer or cancer recurrence. It's actually going to stimulate cancer cells to grow. Now, not all phytoestrogens are cancer-fueling. Foods like soy or flaxseed, well, they are completely safe. But with lavender, this is a theoretical concern that could potentially be unsafe. It could potentially act like estrogen in your body and stimulate hormone-sensitive cancer growth. This is why cancer centers like Memorial Sloan Kettering actually recommend to avoid any lavender products, either orally, topically, or even in the air. However, it is important to note that the evidence around lavender in hormone-positive cancers, it's really limited. It's largely based on animal studies or laboratory research. So if you've taken a lavender bath in the past, well, you don't have to be overly alarmed. You're safe. But if you do use a body lotion that contains lavender and you use it every single day, well, now would be the time to toss that out. The next thing to toss out is plastic food containers. Plastic containers potentially increase the risk of cancer because of the chemicals contained in plastic and how they interact with our bodies. For example, BPA is a chemical used in the manufacturing of plastics, including the type of plastics that can be found in food and beverage containers. Research has shown that BPH can actually leach into the food food or beverages contained within those containers, especially when they're heated, like in the microwave, or when there's an acidic environment. BPH is considered an endocrine disruptor. This means it can actually interfere with your body's hormonal system, and this could potentially increase the risk of hormone-related cancers like certain types of breast cancer. Now, there are loads of plastics in our environment, and it's difficult to control your exposure. Microplastics are actually tiny bits of plastic that are everywhere in our environment. They're in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. These particles can contain harmful chemicals. There's actually growing concern about the harmful health effects of being exposed to microplastics, including the possible role in the development of cancer. But it's nearly impossible to lower or minimize your exposure to these types of plastics. They are ubiquitous. So the best step forward that you can take is to toss out your plastic food and beverage containers. Switch to glass and help lower your exposure. While the evidence linking plastic to cancer risk is growing, we still need more research here. But in the meantime, it's advisable to minimize your exposure whenever it's possible. So take your plastic containers and opt for glass or stainless steel to minimize your plastic exposure. The next thing to toss out, and this should not be a surprise to you, but it's absolutely worth mentioning, is alcohol. Now, alcohol is a common way to socialize and celebrate and just get together. If you feel like you can't cut out alcohol completely and you want to socialize and have a glass of wine or a cocktail with friends every once in a while, well, then you should. The amount of alcohol you consume is proportionate to your cancer risk. So the more alcohol you drink, the greater the risk. Now, many people ask if wine also increases your risk of cancer. Or maybe there's a type of alcohol that's healthier, but alcohol is all the same. It all increases your risk of cancer. The only way to lower your cancer risk is to drink less or eliminate it. If you want to lower the amount of alcohol you drink, then you might want to start with selecting beverages that have a lower percentage of alcohol, something like a light beer. There are also a ton of great non-alcoholic alternatives. Beers, wines, mocktails, all things that won't increase your risk of cancer. The options are there for you. Okay, and up next is a food that's clearly linked to cancer, and that's deli meat. Now, this information might be new to you, so let me show you why processed meat is linked to the risk of cancer. Processed meats are like sausages, deli meat, or bacon. It's been shown to increase the risk of cancer or cancer recurrence. The link is well established and quite clear, with many organizations actually discouraging the consumption of deli meat. Even eating a small amount of processed meat, so 50 grams a day, well, that increases your risk of cancer by about 14%. This would be similar to having a deli meat sandwich every day for lunch. And a lot of people do this. But what exactly is a processed meat? This is any meat that's had something done to it to prolong its shelf life or alter its taste, color, or appearance. So this is sandwich meats, hot dogs, charcuterie boards, bacon. I'm sorry, I know that's a lot of really delicious food that's linked to cancer. And this is why I've just stopped buying it. Now, some people will say that processed meat is safe as long as it's nitrate free, but this isn't exactly true. It's not exactly clear as to what is causing the increased risk of cancer when we look at processed meats. So for the time, it's best to avoid all processed meats if you want to lower your risk of cancer. Most of the research on processed meat is surrounding red processed meat. There's less information about white processed meats. You may assume that white processed meat, so like chicken or turkey, well, it's safer, but we just don't have enough evidence right now. Now, some people will say to me, well, my grandma, she ate a hot dog every day and she's 105 and she never had cancer. And first, this is amazing for your grandma to live such a long life. I'm so glad, I'm so happy for her. But eating processed meat or avoiding it, well, it's not a guarantee. This does not mean that for sure you will get cancer or that you won't. It's like wearing a seatbelt. We do know that if you wear a seatbelt and you're in a car accident, well, then you're less likely to be seriously injured or die. But it's not a guarantee that you will survive, but it definitely helps. The same is true for almost every product in this video. It's not a guarantee, but it will definitely help. Now, changing our diets is definitely challenging, especially if we're talking about cutting out foods that we've been incorporating or eating for such a long time. If you've never liked processed meats or deli meats and you're okay to just cut them out completely, then that's amazing. Do that. But even reducing the consumption of these processed meats, well, that can make a big impact on your cancer risk. You can have a hot dog at a birthday party or enjoy a charcuterie board at a book club. We can balance your consumption of processed meats while still enjoying life. It all depends on how much risk you want to take on. For me, that means I don't buy these products to have in my house, but I may have it once in a while if I'm out at a restaurant or at a party. The amount I eat is considerably lower, but I do not want to deprive myself. Okay, and the last thing that you absolutely need to toss out after cancer is coffee creamer. Coffee creamer just really doesn't do anything good for cancer survivors. It's high in saturated fats, which is linked to many health conditions, including heart disease. It also includes high-fat dairy, which has been shown to increase the risk of cancer. Certain types of dairy, like full-fat milk, are being further investigated into their increased risk of cancer. The Nurses' Health Initiative, which is a well-known group of studies, well, it looked at this exact question. They found that women who ate 2 servings of high-fat dairy each day, well, they were at a higher risk of breast cancer. So it's time to toss out the coffee creamer. This is a perfect place to start to get rid of the potential cancer-causing items in your house. Well, there's power in getting rid of these products. There's actually even more power in what foods you decide to eat. It's the foods you include rather than the foods you avoid. That's why I'm linking up this next video here on cancer-fighting fruits. Click the link here and I'll see you in the next video.